Good morning, everybody. Welcome to, I think it's session. Anybody know what session it is? I think it's session 10. I think it's session 10. Cool. Awesome. Awesome. Look at that. The conversation we're going to have today is about emotional resilience and understanding emotional resilience where we're at. I just wanted to do a little quick overview, a little quick review. That's important because what we're about to attack now, and literally it's not supposed to be an attack, but after you hear this little dialogue I'm about to share with you, it might make sense. And because we've been sort of nudging our way into this opportunity, into this possibility, into this new way to see things. By the way, in the school community, a lot of today's outline is already up there. So if we don't get to some of the questions in the workbook section, they're already up there. They're in the community part. And when the video goes up inside the classroom, it'll be there as well. So what we have been doing here inside of the previous 9 sessions is nothing short of extraordinary. I really want you to understand that. You've been stepping into a new identity, and this new identity that you're stepping into is about letting go of a lot of limiting beliefs, that have held you up, that have held you in place, that have been, the image that's coming to my mind is growing up as a farm boy, baling hay. It's when one side of the string pops. There's usually 2 strings. There's 3 string bales. These were rope bales, not wire bales, wire string. So we would use rope, and sometimes the knotting machine on the baler would, once it got out, because it compresses the bale, and once it gets outside of the compressor section and it's getting ready to where you grab it to go onto the hay wagon to stack it, sometimes you'd grab one string and just one string would pop and the bale would go. That's what's happening. That's the image that I see sometimes with us right now. I can tell you this: Sunday morning at about 3:30 a.m., I woke up in a sweat. Now I'm teaching this and I'm doing this and I'm working on this, and I woke up in a sweat with, you would not believe the doubts running through my head. The doubts, they didn't really happen, but looking in the windows of the bedroom, I felt like I was under a microscope and I didn't like it. And part of me, because of who I am, the way I was raised, I'm not afraid of defending myself. Don't necessarily need to do it because I'm bigger than most people I encounter. And these doubts were bigger than me. So I really want you to know that even though I teach this, I've done this for 40 years, I had it happen to me. The fear, the doubt, the anxiety, what are you even doing any of this for? Anybody know what I'm talking about? Anybody know somebody of what I'm talking about? Drop a 1 in the chat. And the reason I want you to share that with you is because none of us are immune when we go after an identity shift. So I want to let you know I'm proud of you. I want you to give yourself a little JM3 pat on the back, because with these profound changes become profound responses within us. So, and I want you to just acknowledge it. So right now you might be feeling the resistance. Maybe it's subtle, like a quiet doubt in the back of your mind, or maybe it's a loud conversation like fear or frustration, an urge to pull back and retreat. How many of you have decided, how many of you have ever said, or could you imagine somebody who's attending this, somebody could have said, I don't know if I'm going to make it to Monday's session. That, ladies and gentlemen, you are on the right track if you're looking for transformation. Your subconscious has spent years, maybe decades, building up the patterns and beliefs that make you up in who you are today in your mind, today in your body. And now we're asking you to let go of some familiar resistances and embrace the unknown. That's what's literally happening. We're 10 sessions into this. 2 recap sessions. So we're on session 8. So I just want you to become aware that resistance is futile. No, resistance is proof that you're growing. It's your mind and body shifting. Anybody feel a little congestion, or maybe an old high school sporting injury flared back up? Wow, my knee hasn't hurt since the motorcycle accident. Right? I can always tell when Michelle is going through a shift, because she was in a motorcycle accident when she was 18, and it kind of tore up her knee and hurt her hip real bad. Her hip, I will see her start to limp. I go, hey, what's up with your hip? I don't know. It's kind of crazy. I'll kind of do that. Really, knucklehead? You know, somewhere your identity is shifting. Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah. So let's normalize the discomfort, because I can promise you this, 2025 might be a lot of this experience. It doesn't have to be a lot of the same feeling. Let me say that again. Where you're stepping into, where you're treading, where you're progressing into is going to be a tremendous amount of new shifts, new transformations, new letting go, right? Doesn't that make sense? Because right now we're chipping away to start the path. We're crossing the gap. So we're building a bridge from here to get started in this new identity. Does that make sense? So it's important that we understand that transformation isn't tidy. It's not folding the laundry. It's the chaos of it when it comes out of the dryer and the shirt is stuck in and you're pulling the arm and it's wound up tight. And it's chaos. It's not linear. It's not linear at all. And it's definitely not comfortable. It stirs things up. It makes you question what you've always believed about yourself. Here's the question here's the question that shows up most often for me. Y'all ready? Who do you think you are? That's the question that shows up most for me. And if it shows up for you, hey, listen, we're birds of a feather that flock together. The reality is that it's probably the question that shows up a lot. Why? Because know that you are on a path that's different, a path that's expansion. Now, law of opposites say you can expand positively, you can expand negatively. I get it. What I'm hoping sinks in, settles in, finds you in a space of place of awareness is that you are working on this place of transformation that's moving you forward. Because it's about you adopting an acceptable belief in yourself that I'm okay. All too often and today's conversation is about emotional resilience. So this is what's leading into this dialogue. When you're about to go have a shift, a transformation, it's uncomfortable. Right? Imagine a block of ice that's in a sphere. Listen carefully, without losing any of that sphere, how would you get it into a square? You'd have to melt it. You'd have to let it thaw out. Now you can force the melting, but without losing anything. See, even if I heat it up, if I heat it too fast, I can cause it to sublimate, go from solid to vapor. So how many of you have ever defrosted anything by putting it in the refrigerator? I'm like, how can it's freezing in the refrigerator. It's not as freezing as the freezer. But I always wondered when I was little, how does that melt in the refrigerator? It's cold. It allows it to slowly do it. Well, we're not taking the refrigerator method. We're kind of taking the outside in the sun under a what do you call it? Magnifying glass. So it makes you question what you've always believed in yourself. It asks you to face your fears and release the ones that no longer. How many of you have given up on some old stories that you're like, I don't even know why I carried that thing around? It's like that certs in the bottom of your bag that's never been in a wrapper in 6 months, and it looks like, what is that? Because it's picked up all of the dirt in the bottom of your bag, you're like, oh my gosh. Because what's on the other side of this is the freedom you're seeking, is the clarity you're seeking, is the kind of confidence that only comes from truly knowing yourself. So write down somewhere on your paper, identity cascade. I don't know if it's a psychological term. I made it up. Identity cascade. Every new belief, every decision, every action you take is creating ripples, right? If you look at a waterfall, not one like Angel Falls that falls a mile down, these ones that you see the stones and it slowly cascades down. These ripples that you're creating, these waves that you're creating, are disturbing the old ways of thinking. Now, what's the little, I guess, physics? If two waves meet each other at the proper place, they cancel each other out. If they meet at the proper place, they can double the amplitude. They can double the height of the wave. Some of these things, some of your new beliefs are canceling out the old beliefs. And some of them, the little beliefs that you had, are being amplified. And it forces you, anything that's being canceled out becomes an awareness. Anything that's being amplified becomes an awareness. Anything that is a shift becomes aware. You become aware of it. Right? The old habits, the old identities that are no longer serving you, while you're still going forward, where are these things that are carrying you? So, like riding the wave, sometimes these new waves are short-lived. Man, I'm having a great time. Oh, that's right. I got to take care of that. And you go, The question you have to ask yourself, the thing you need to be aware of most importantly right now, is in which way am I moving? Because there is no stationary. So you're shifting your entire foundation. Imagine what it takes to move a house. To move a house, not tear one down and build another one up, to move it. Because there's foundations that are irreplaceable, that are non-duplicatable. And those are the core beliefs. Now, some of those bricks need to be removed and a new one put back in based upon your beliefs and your new vision and your new story and your new state. So this is why today's session about building emotional resilience, it's critical. Emotional resilience is what allows you to keep moving forward. It allows you to hold on to the steady and stay steady when everything inside you goes, I want to go back. I want to go back. So take a big breath. Take another one. And I want you to just softly say to yourself, I see the discomfort. Put a smile on your face. I see the discomfort. And I'm still choosing to grow. Right? It's not avoiding the challenges or pretending everything is okay. How many of us are possibly pretending everything is okay? It's about knowing that you can handle what's coming. Not because it's easy, because you're capable. Write somewhere on your paper, it's worth it. Let yourself acknowledge that what you're doing now is to step into your it's worth it kind of moment. So before we dive in, I just want to take a moment and honor the work that you've done so far. That makes sense? You've shown up every day for yourself. If you're watching this recording, you've bought this training, you've been through 12 hours, 13 hours of some pretty serious recalibration. You've faced your identity. You've envisioned a new future. You've broken some limiting beliefs. You've adjusted some limiting beliefs, and some you just left by the side. They're no longer part of who you are. You started making choices that align. Write down somewhere on your paper, I'm in alignment. Aligned with who you're becoming. That's not a small thing. That is monumental. That is that's statue-worthy stuff you're doing. You're rewriting your story. And with every step, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than any resistance you're facing. Feel that for just a second. You've done some big, monumental shifts. We're stacking it. We're creating a stacked effort from identity to vision to casting to limiting beliefs to understanding your why. We're stacking. The decision of making decisions. We're stacking all of this, and we've moved, we've shoved, we've pushed, we've uncovered so many things. So it brings us to today. So let's, with the tools that we're creating and that you're developing, we're going to explore and how to stay grounded. And when emotional feelings begin to overwhelm, how to reframe those. Instead of feeling like we're hitting a wall. So what I did on Sunday morning, because I literally couldn't stop the train. It seemed like the train had a hell of a lot of momentum. And it wasn't just the engine. It was cars of doubt and fear and frustration, and a couple of passenger cars of people laughing. You think you're that? Seriously? You know, you've been doing this for 40 years, and this 10 days is going to change everything? You're nuts. I'm just telling you. Telling you what I was experiencing. I don't know what you were experiencing. I'm telling you what I was experiencing. So what's the thing? The triangle. If you aren't familiar with the triangle, you may want to draw a little triangle on your paper. And let me give you the way to overcome any situation. Bottom is physiology. I had to move my body because I was just laying there. I was just laying there and thinking, and I hadn't really woken up yet. I was awoken by this train of doubt and fear, and just it literally was causing my body to be in stress. I'm like, oh, is it? I mean, why even start tomorrow? This is ridiculous. I'm in such doubt and fear and blah blah blah. And so literally, as if I was drowning, I looked around. I said, I've got to move. So I moved my body to go. Beamish was sleeping on the bed with me. So I said, good morning, Beamish. And he started wagging his tail. So that visual triggered some responses in me. I asked him, I said, you get over here, right? You get over here, you little monster. And so he got up and he literally moved over to me. So me having a control of something outside of me. And then I got up and I went and made a coffee, turned the coffee pot on. I physically moved my body. I said hello to Seamus was in and Dublin was in. And I knelt down. They were sitting on the couch and I hugged them and kissed them. And so I had to shift my energy. And I went, once I got on the other side of that and the train took off, I turned on a rail and the train went off to Never Never Land. I didn't try to stop it. I had to become aware of it. And so what I realized is that in 15 minutes, how to use my own mental toughness. I went back to the foundational physiology, focus, language, and meaning. Physiology, I moved my body. Focus, what was I focusing on? Was I focusing on the train? Because the train was going to go anyway. I decided not to focus on the train. Right? And I could hear the conductor blowing the horn. You need to pay attention. Woo, do, do, do. Right? I know. I'm changing my focus. So I Not sure who needed to hear that. I know I needed to say it, so maybe you needed to hear it too. So here, in closing this, as we go into the session, this is a turning point. So write turning point, write down the date, write down the time. This is a moment where you get to choose how you move forward. And yes, how you move forward is a strategy. Because you're working on your state, you're pushing your story. The question is you have to put in some new fundamental strategy, some new fundamental forms of activity and action and function that you can link these new identities with identities that are already good, right? So if you want to make sure you never miss taking your pills in the morning or your medicines or your tinctures, put them where you do something every morning that you can't miss it. I have my metformin on my counter. I have my tincture right here on my counter, on my desk, because I'm coming here every day. Even on Sundays, I come in here and this is where I journal. So I know when I see that and I move it, right? Trust yourself. Remember, you're not doing this alone, because I can tell you, I felt so alone Sunday morning. Absolutely 100% alone. It was almost overwhelming. To give you an insight, I haven't felt that, dare I say, in decades. Which made, so as I was going through that, I could hear the giggle. I could hear the giggle of my prince and princess. For those of you that aren't aware, those are archetypes that we carry around with us. And I could hear them giggling. They were kind of laughing at me. Then I could hear the shift in the giggle when I changed my focus. And they were giggling with me because I started to. Do you ever have your friends laugh at something, trying to make you laugh, and you don't really want to laugh? That's what they were doing. They were like, "What are you waiting on? Come on." You're like, "I don't want to laugh. I want to be mad. I want to be mad." It was, and then I activated my reporter archetype. And all I could hear the reporter saying is, "I need more pencils. This is good stuff. Oh my gosh, I'm writing down." And I could just, they were just making note after note after note. Like, what are you writing down? Anyway, so that's a whole nother, that could be a whole nother 2-hour conversation. Remember, you're not doing this alone. Let's build the emotional resistance that will carry you through the rest of the journey. Y'all ready? If you're ready, say I'm ready. If you're ready, say I'm ready. Okay. So that's what that was me. That was my Sunday. And there's never been a part of me that said, I ain't telling them about this. That's not true. There's a part of me, the ego part of me said, why would you tell them you were failing? And the word, when soon as they said failing, I knew it was a lie. I knew it wasn't me. I said, failing? This is the greatest day ever. This is an identity shift of tectonic. I'll get the word out. Tectonic proportion. I had plates shift. There's one that's going down and one that's going up. There was a break, a little bit of an earthquake that sent the old story even down farther to get rekindled, reburned, to turn into more molten so that I can build a bigger foundation. So here we go. How to handle life's challenges. And what's that phrase? How many of you have a cool phrase? Every setback is a setup, right? To become aware of these phrases, you're going to have some phrases, some catchphrases, some Batman phrases or Spider-Man or Wonder Woman phrases. Oh, by the way, I would encourage you every day for probably the next 4 or 5 months, stand for 2 minutes in the Wonder Woman pose. You all know what the Wonder Woman pose is? Hands on your hips, feet shoulder width apart, and stand and do that. Now, don't have to do it now, but take 2 minutes. What that does, Google it. Google, what does the Wonder Woman pose do for the body? It reduces cortisol. It improves risk taking by almost 30%. And by the way, guys, you don't have to wear golden bracelets and tight tights. You can do the Superman pose. But I promise you, if you stand just like that, you're like, you'll feel weird after about 30 seconds. Do it for 2 minutes. It will literally change your body. And you don't have to say anything or have a mantra. You can say, I'm Wonder Woman. I'm Superman. I promise you, physiology, it's the most important thing. It's one thing, it's very rarely studied in goal achieving. Don't need it for goal setting, but you need to understand physiology for goal achieving. Does that make sense? So, this is about avoiding this confusion. Now, emotional resilience isn't about avoiding pain and stress. It's becoming the person who can navigate through those things, through those moments, right? Mastering this resilience allows you to maintain your DMP, your definite major purpose. And you can, here's the thing. How many of us have ever experienced overwhelming situations? What if you were put back into that overwhelming situation today? Would it be as stressful? Probably not. It might still be overwhelming, but why does the overwhelm, the tipping point of the overwhelm go away if you got put back into that spot? Because you know you got through it. You know you got to the other side of it. Does that make sense? So this is about helping you to create the tools to regulate your system. Where does overwhelm happen? Does it happen in your brain? Overwhelm never happens in your brain. Overwhelm happens in your body. Neuroencoding. Does that make sense? So the science of how your brain works, talk about that, right? Activating the amygdala. Do you realize that you can write this down? 15 seconds. 15 seconds seems to be the key. 15 seconds of breathing something, it's in your bloodstream. 15 seconds of thinking something, it has to take on its own neural network of possibilities, which is why the brain is constantly looking for, is this a pattern or is this going to kill me? Now, it starts with, is this going to kill me? With everything you're about to do, that is the fight or flight, right? We know the 3 F's: fight, fight, flee, or freeze. You know what the challenge is? We always talk about the 3 F's: fight, flight, or freeze. There's a 4th F that they don't teach you about. I don't know why they don't teach you about it. But what happens if we're going to think about something and we're either going to fight, flee, or freeze? If we get activated in that particular part, how many of you have a phone number in your phone right now that when it calls, you're like, I'm not answering that? I'm telling you, that's your freeze. That's your flight. That's happening all the time. How many of you see something on social media and you go, they just annoy the living bejeebies out of me? That is activating your amygdala. How many of you see political conversations that are like, I don't know why they're that stupid? There's a 4th F. If fight, flight, and freeze no longer are in the way, you know what the 4th F is? Freedom. And that's known as emotional resilience. Nobody can get you upset without your permission. You see a comment on social media or somebody cut you off and how many of you have talked to cars on the highway? The hell are you thinking? What are you doing? You jackass, you almost cut me off. Are you kidding me? They're not even in the car with you. That's activating your amygdala. That's activating your fight response. And do you realize that all of these responses are already wired into you? This is your strategy for surviving in your world. I gotta get on the 5 and drive north or whatever. I gotta get on the 205 or whatever. I've got to get on the bus. I gotta go through TSA. How many of you love going through TSA? I do. I love TSA. I love TSA. It's the greatest thing ever. Why? Because I can stand there smiling. And part of it is I know it's going to kind of piss people off. Hey, good morning. How are you? What the hell is wrong with you? Is this your first time flying? I can just hear them and I'm loving it. And I'm walk up to TSA. Hey, good morning. I love TSA. They're like, there's okay, we're going to take you in the back and we're going to strip search you because there's something wrong with you, buddy. I just love that. And because it's so easy for me to be outstanding. So, what are you dealing with emotional resilience? How is resilience a skill you can develop? You develop it through intentional practice. The power of emotional regulation. Now, there's emotional resilience and emotional regulation. Imagine a room, right? You pick the size of the room. You pick the size of the room. Now imagine I light a candle. I want you to adjust the room size so that the candle, when it's lit, the heat off of the candle could actually warm the room. Did the room get bigger or get smaller? It got a lot smaller. Now I want you to imagine taking that same candle into the largest stadium you've ever been in. Football stadium, baseball stadium, basketball stadium, concert hall. Take that candle into that room. Would you have any of the candle left before it raised the temperature? Wouldn't the candle have burned all the way out and it hasn't even changed the temperature in the room a half a degree? Here's how I want you to become aware of your emotional regulation. Decide to operate in bigger rooms. When somebody cuts you off, imagine that you're looking at the world from the moon and they cut you off, but you couldn't see them cut you off because you were looking at the bigger picture. You know, when you see images of the world, even if it's an artist's rendition of it, do you see any pain, suffering, and war? When you look at the image, it's when you start to myopic. You start to go, oh, there's Africa, oh, there's the Sudan, or that's where genocide took place. Or you look at the Ukraine, you go, oh, they're fighting with Russia. No, you see the big picture. You can't see the individual things going on, which is called your DMP. Your definite major purpose allows you to continue to look at the big thing. See, if you get upset or you get frustrated, that was based upon you giving permission to whatever just happened. It meant, this is going to hurt a little, it meant that your DMP wasn't strong enough to override any frustration, aggravation, challenge, car cutting you off, somebody saying, what the hell is wrong with your hair, right? You're like, are you kidding me? Are you funny? Reframing adversity, turning obstacles into opportunities, and creating, here you go. How many of you have ever heard of this? Resilience rituals. You all have rituals, daily practices to build your emotional toughness. So, what are 3 situations where you felt emotionally triggered in the past month? Where you felt emotionally triggered in the last month? What's 3? We're going to do a little workshop here. So first question, and these questions you can write down. These are also in the classroom under today's session, December 16th. For those of you watching the recording, you can look underneath the video here and you'll see the same workbook that's available to you. So what emotions did you feel when you got triggered? Anger, frustration? Did you feel they were ignorant? Did you feel they were wrong? Once you had those emotions, how did you react? How did you react? What was the physical things you did? What was the mental things you did? And what was the outcome of that reaction? Did you disagree with somebody? And in your disagreeing, it was designed to make them feel as if they're not looking at things correctly. And they held their ground and you held your ground. And how did you feel? Didn't matter how they felt. This is about how you feel. Did you ever have a decision about somebody and you're like, well, they're not in my circle anymore. They made me so upset. I'm not talking to them for a while. You ever have a friend that you didn't talk to for a while? Like, you know what? I don't know what I don't even, and then you got back together. I don't even know what we argued about. But you went, oh, I know what we argued about. Or they said, I know what we argued about. So you can do that for each of the situations. And this is the tough work. This is the down in the dirty. This is readjusting the formulas, readjusting the gears on your potential. And I can guarantee you this. If you do not do this, you will stay stuck here in this place. We can go to session 11 and 13 and 15 and 22 and 97. You will be stuck right here. You'll be paying attention. You'll be becoming aware, and you'll say to yourself, well, it seems like everything just stopped. You'll pay $1,000 and have a conversation with me, Sean. I just feel really stuck. I'll say, I know exactly when you got stuck. Well, where? Session 10, the emotional resilience. You weren't willing to let go of things that really didn't serve you. And that's emotional. So this proves, how many of you have stopped when you realized what sugar does in your body? You decided to reduce the amount of sugar that you take in. How many of you realized that when there were things in your environment that you needed to adjust, you did things to the strategy of your world? What we're talking about right now is the story of your world. You have a story that when somebody cuts you off, you play that story. You hit play. Oh, you son of a blah, 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 blah. When somebody says you're an idiot for being in network marketing, you push play. You have a story that's already recorded. So we're not even talking about state yet. We're talking about the story, the identity with which you operate life in. Right? People don't know I'm Irish. They'll know I'm Irish if we're going to do a toast or we're going to tell a story or tell a joke. Then I say, oh, I'm Irish. I got a good story. They're like, oh, God bless you. Oh, you're Irish? You could do that. Go ahead. Tell us a joke. Tell us a joke, Sean. Right? Culturally, a lot of what we're talking about has happened because of your culture. If you lived in Iran, you operate differently than if you lived in Idaho, than if you lived in Minnesota, right? If you lived in New York, right? My mother and father were born in New York, first generation. There's a lot of skill sets that I have that come from being raised by New Yorkers, right? And then when New Yorkers go and live on a farm and don't know which end of a cow to feed, you learn some new skills. Never planted a garden in our life. I can tell you, you remember your first time when you get shocked by an electric fence. What first time were you thinking I was talking about? I remember the electric fence a lot more than I remember my first time. First time was kind of awkward. Getting shocked by an electric fence wasn't awkward. It hurt. So now here's the question. So now you've got three situations. What was the emotions that I feel when the situation arose? How did I react to it? Not react. I mean, respond, react. And then what was the outcome of my reaction? Then reflect. What patterns do you notice in how you respond to the emotional trigger? So what are the emotional triggers in your life? Take a moment, and what are some emotional triggers? Could the emotional triggers be somebody has tattoos and you have a story about people who have tattoos? Could emotional trigger be somebody who's skinny and wears clothes that accent their skinniness? Could the emotional trigger be somebody that is all decked out in gold? They're an A-type personality. They got the gold necklace, the gold watch, the gold ring, right? They look very I don't know, mafia-like. They got the big gold rings, right? The Italian horn. They got all of the stuff, right? Hey, what's up? All right, hey, they got their shirt on. But what are some things that trigger a story you start telling? How about dogs? Some of you might have a fear of animals. You might have a fear of dogs. Little dogs don't bother me, but big dogs scare the bejeebies out of me. Is that an emotional trigger? Some of you, it could be your family. Some of it could be your family. Your sister triggers you. Your sister-in-law triggers you. Do you realize that if they're triggering you, if they're pulling your gun is pointed at your head, not theirs. And they shoot your ability to have wisdom, love, courage right out of your head. Do you have an emotional trigger about somebody that hasn't forgiven you yet, or you ain't forgiven them? These are emotional triggers. This making sense? Nod your head if it's making sense. Okay, good. So now part 2 of this exercise is reframing adversity. So to shift your perspective on this challenge or the challenges, let's look at any of these triggers as an opportunity for growth. I go back to the priest sitting in the jurors in the witnesses box where he says, I asked God for patience. Did he give me patience? No. He gave me moments to become patient in. If I asked him for freedom, did he give me freedom? No, he put me in moments where I could choose to have freedom. That's what we're doing right now. So think of one of these challenges or setbacks, or one recent challenge or setback. It might be one of the previous ones or something that is more recent. Mine would be what happened on Sunday. I literally had this I don't know what you would call it. It wasn't anxiety. It was anger. It was fear. It was every limiting belief boiled up into one. It was a soup. It was an everything bowl of just shiitake soup. So as I realized I needed to get myself out of it, here's the challenge with when I overcame that situation, when I shifted my physiology, my focus and language and meaning, it would have been real easy to go, I just crossed over that speed bump. Rather than removing the speed bump. I've had decades of being able to fix my suspension and look pretty smooth on the outside while the wheels on my awareness are going and wrecking me on the inside, but everybody on the outside, I look like the duck, right? Oh, look at the duck. But underneath the feet, they were just a paddling. So what I would ask you is to look at a situation where you've had this limiting belief, the chains put back on, the weight put back on your shoulder, and ask, what is this situation teaching me? What is this situation teaching me? Hey, Jennifer. Here's another question. What opportunity does this challenge give me to grow stronger in or more skilled in? Somebody cuts you off in traffic. What's the opportunity or the challenge this challenge gives you to grow stronger? Somebody cuts you off, you go, oh, I love them. So first question is what is this situation teaching me? And what opportunity does this challenge give me to grow stronger or more skilled in? So think about one of your most recent challenges. What did it, why do you think you continue to have it? Why do you think you have this story queued up in your life, ready to play at the drop of a hat? What can this help you grow stronger in? What is the lesson that you need to learn from this, right? The beatings will continue till morale improves. And the third question might help you with this is how will overcoming this challenge prepare you for future success? How will overcoming this challenge, this state, this resistance, how will overcoming this prepare you for future success? Is it possible? Is it possible that you're about to experience a lot more of these situations based upon your desire to grow? So we hear about reframing. Let me tell you what reframing is. How many of you have ever changed the curtains in a room and it's changed the whole room? You've changed the carpet in the room and the room dimensionally hasn't changed. The furniture in it hasn't changed. You changed something that made the whole room look different. So if we pictured a frame, right? If we pictured a frame, it's what's around the story we're telling. That makes sense? It's not the story. We're not changing the story because the story is truth. The story is just real. The story has no emotion. It just happens. We're talking about reframing, right? So my sister-in-law, love her to death. I have an image of her where she's got an axe to grind for me. Now, what if I change the frame to clowns and balloons and candy and popcorn and cotton candy? I can't look at that picture without giggling. Now she's got I see her with an axe, grinding an axe. Now I think, oh, she's a cartoon character. I didn't change the image. I changed the frame that I hold the image in. Does that make sense? I hope this is really sitting in because if you change the frame, you don't have to change them. I don't have to change her. I change the thing that holds the image of her. And if I walk by, it starts playing circus music. Right? And now it's kind of a giggly looking photo. So think of a situation, think of an individual, think of somebody who just absolutely knows how to push that button or turn that crank. Think of them right now. Let that image be there. Let that individual be there. Let that last confrontation be there. And now let's reframe it. Don't go out and buy a $50,000 frame because that's what it's costing you right now. Do you realize that? The frame you carry this image in is $100,000 frame because that's what it's costing you. That's what it's costing you to go after your dreams. Is the price you pay is the frame, not the image, because the image you can't change them. If you think they're a goofball idiot, how they get out of bed and how they are able to feed themselves because they're just, I don't know, they lack no sense, that image can still be there. What the price of the picture is the frame you are holding it in. So change the frame. Put donkeys' butts all around it.
bonus.
Put flowers around it. Put, I don't know, but just change the frame. And you see how the challenge is you never framed this image. It came with the frame that you think, well, I got to change the picture. They're part of your life. You can take them off the wall and put the picture in a box, but you still have to change the frame because the frame is how you see and how you hold that picture. So here's a reframing example for yourself. I failed at this and it proves I'm not good enough. Here's the reframe. This setback is teaching me how to improve, and I'll use this lesson to grow. Isn't that self-talk? Isn't that brain talk? In the mastermind, that the year-long mastermind, we use EFT. EFT a lot, so that you can literally in 30 seconds reframe something through the meridian system in your body, understanding EFT, how powerful that is. So, part 3 of this exercise, your resilience toolbox. So, what are 3 calming techniques that work when your emotions run high? What are 3 things you can do when you start to get wound up? How do you slow yourself down? How about deep breathing? Right? The challenge is if somebody tells you any of these while you're mad, deep breathing. Why don't you go jump off a cliff? You need to know these work for yourself. Deep breathing. How about journaling? How about going for a walk? How about texting a friend? When I get frustrated, and I didn't use that on Sunday because it was kind of early, really early in the morning. And I do have my boundaries of when I'll barge in on somebody's awareness simply through a text. But normally what I'll do is if I'm struggling during the day, I just go create a text that says, I love you. Thanks for being in my life. Copy, paste, copy, paste, copy, paste. And I'll send out 40, 50 of those. And I'll get 10 responses back. Some people know why I've sent it, saying, hey, listen, I got your back. I love you. Or, oh, and they send big hearts emojis and the little sprinkly eyes of the teardrop. But those that know me know that I'm going through something and they're glad to be there going, hey, I got you. I got you back. Doesn't say their name. It's copy and paste. This is all about me. When I'm sending those out, it is all about me. I'm not worried about what you say. I'm not worried about the people that don't respond. I am giving it, and then I leave it to the universe. And maybe one person responds, but I'm not like, I sent out 50 texts and only one person responds. That is not the focus of it. This is simply me sending out karma into the universe that says I need some. I'm giving love. When it comes back, it'll come back whenever it needs to. Right? So what are your 3 calming techniques? Is it going for a walk? Is it deep breathing? Is it water, drinking water? Texting a friend? What is it? So that's when your emotions run high. Listen carefully. We're going to dive a little deeper. What are 3 actions you can shift your mindset? Right? Mine was go pet the dogs. Whenever I start to bring out the flogging and beating myself up mentally, going, you're not good enough. What are you doing? There's no this. I go back. So I have to do something physically. And the thing I use is the closest animal. I could be riding on the 0 turn out cutting grass and it hits me. And if I'm up by the sheep, I'll go talk to the sheep. Beamish is usually not far away from me, so I'll get off and throw him a stick. So what are 3 actions to shift your mindset? How about repeating affirmations? I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm enough. I'm good enough. I'm sexy. Right? What are the things that you would do to shift your mindset? This one was the emotions. These emotions and mindset are different, aren't they? So we have to begin to develop, to create our arsenal so that as we get attacked, because we are going to feel some resistance on our 5x, 10x, 100x, 200x journey of growth. You just got to know that's coming. You can't say, I'm going to have 1,000x growth in 2025. All is good. Amen. Hallelujah. Pass the plate. Let's go. There's going to be attack after attack after attack. And it's not because it wants to attack you. It's us attacking ourselves. And law of attraction truly does work. And I don't know if it's true, but they said it in the movie. I still don't know. I don't know that anybody's done the research, but they said a negative thought is a lot more times more stronger than a positive thought. I think it's because of the duration of our ability to hold a negative thought. I don't think a negative thought for a second and a positive thought for a second are any stronger than each other. They're just simply opposites of the center of where we need to be. I think the reason they say a negative thought is 1,000 times stronger is because we have 1,000 more bits of content to prove it than we do this positive thought that we're having. That's my take. So how can I remind myself to use these tools in the moment? Listen, I knew I should have done that. Could you imagine if you got paid $1 for every time you said that? We'd all be millionaires. I knew I should have done that. Millionaire. So how can I remind myself? So right now, what would be some ways for you to realize that you're starting your spiral? Right? What's your safe word? What's your mindset word? Farfignugan. Right? If you say Farfignugan or whatever it is, you are changing. You are becoming aware that you're slipping. Traction. Right? You got to come up with this, because if you don't, you're going to start repeating. And I'd ask you, how's that working for you? Not coming up with it. And here's how you practice this. You practice it before you need it. Isn't it good that pilots practice in simulators before they get on? Hey, listen, today's my first time ever behind the wheel of the plane. You ready? Who wants to get? There we go, passengers. No, you better have practiced a hell of a lot before you get on this show. So you've got to practice it when you don't need it. You have to look at the things that trigger you. Traffic triggers you, or going someplace triggers you, or somebody in your family triggers you, or something in your company triggers you, or something somewhere trigger. You have to go look at your triggers and go, what's my response to that? Because it's a lot easier when you're in this state of joy and happy than when that thing triggers you and starts. If you put on your armor and you're 10 foot tall and bulletproof, and this little 6-year-old comes, can we have a talk about why this isn't working? Sit down, kid, get away from me. And you go kill and murder and rah. And then you come back and go, oh, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I didn't eat half a bag of Oreos. Why did I do that? All right. So, last part. You have to manage your emotional state moment to moment, right? Sadhguru says, in this moment, choose joy, choose misery. You have to look at all of the time. You have to build up this emotional warehouse so that when something comes along and it wants to attack you, you're not operating from an empty bucket. At the end of the day, answer these reflection questions. What I do well? What might I have done better? And what talent, skill, or resource do I need to show up in my life tomorrow so I can operate at a better level, at a better energy frequency? What I do well, what might I have done better? Right? We all can have improvement. Principle Kaizen, 1% improvement every day. But if we don't reflect on these, the chances are, because we're creatures of habit, we will repeat the same thing until we break the habit, the habitual action, operating without our awareness. That's what a habit is, operating without awareness. Habit is operating without awareness. And when you start to put awareness to it, you're like, oh my God. So here's a mantra you might want to write down. You might. Today taught me to stay calm under pressure, and I'm proud of how I'm growing. Today taught me to stay calm under pressure, and I'm proud of how I'm growing. All right, then there's the other expression that I think was a doctor in France, Dr. Kumele, and they had their patients repeat this. I'm getting better and better in every way and every day. That's all they had them repeat. I'm getting better and better every day, every way, in every way. And the amount of disease that left their body, the amount of patients who got better simply from saying, I'm getting better and better every day and every way, was staggering. So again, these are all in the community for today, December 16th. These will be under the video. If you're watching the video, these questions will be under the video. What's one challenge I've overcome in the past that proves I'm capable of handling adversity? Oh, what are you talking about? Your evidence file? Oh, snap. How can I remind myself that emotions are temporary? How many of you ever heard growing up, your face is going to freeze like that? What if your emotions stayed like that? For some people, it does. What's belief I can adopt today to strengthen my resilience? What if you woke up with that? You're making your coffee, on your way, driving in, doing whatever. What's a belief I can use? What if you just started asking questions? Emotional resilience isn't about falling down. It's about getting back up stronger and wiser every time. There you go. There's emotional resilience. This is the most powerful. This is the most important. The reason that a lot of people touch on this right up front is they go, it's important for you to change your mindset. Yes, totally agree. And it should be spoken about early on in life. The challenge is that they make you think you're wrong because you can't change your emotional state because they haven't taught you how to adapt and adopt your new identity. So there you go. Good morning, everybody. Questions, comments, thoughts, takeaways, take with you, feed forwards. What'd you learn? What'd you like?
Good morning, John.
Good morning.
So, oh my God, the reframing was just amazing because this one person in my life gives me so much frustration and sometimes anger. And just looking at this person now as a funny clown with some donkey asses around it, I mean, it literally changed my physical feeling and it made me smile and giggle and laugh. So thank you for that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That's like huge because I have to work with this person daily. So thank you.
So now imagine, so pay attention, Silky. Since you reframed it, you know what you're going to say? Oh my gosh, they're not even a pain in my neck anymore. They really changed. And what you'll find is law of attraction. If you want to bring in giggles and laughters and right, all of a sudden their frequency is tuned to yours and they're going to be in a different state. And it's simply because you didn't change the picture, you changed the frame.
Oh, I love that. That's even better.
So watch it. You're gonna start to giggle because you're gonna literally hear them. You're gonna laugh and they're gonna wheeze when they laugh. They're gonna go You're like, oh my God, they sound just like a donkey. Oh, that's funny. You'll be amazed that if we show up in the state we want our world to look in, our personality affects our personal reality.
Oh, well, that's good.
That's Joe Dispenza, because that person was changing your personality. Your personal reality of that individual made you go, oh, I got to deal with them. Okay, I wonder what kind of idiot stuff they're going to do today. But now if you say, hey, listen, imagine you're bringing a little hay with you, a little straw in your pocket, and you're going to drop it on their desk when you go by, and you're going to, here you go, Listen, I have this unfair advantage. There's people that I know I'm going to bump into some people who are quite fascinating, and because of the growth I'm on, I get challenged maybe even more than y'all. But the reason you don't see the response that would be typical for the attacks is because I carry around bales of hay and pitchforks to pick up the manure and all of the stuff, because I just choose to look at things in a fun way. So,
Oh my
very
God,
cool.
I love that so much. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I
Sure.
love you, and a great morning to everyone.
Thank you, Soki. Who else? Thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways? Take with you. If you all get a chance, go into the community section, look at AJ's conversation, Alex's conversation on what he wrote down earlier this morning in some of his awarenesses. It was kind of cool.
I was just about to say that. I was just about to give you my 4 cents, probably not 2, if you will. First of all, thank you for the comment you posted back. Thank you for that. And talking about emotional resilience today, man. I mean, this past weekend I've encountered some resilience from others. Hey, really? Shocker. I went on a double lunch date. Me and my lady and one of my friends and his lady, we came on and we had lunch, and then I went to visit my aunt and my grandma. I haven't seen them in probably a month, and both of them were like, hey, you're busy, you're not showing up or whatever. I'm like, yeah, I got some stuff going on, some stuff, right? And I told them, I said, hey, listen, this year has been horrific. Some things were great, some things were not so great, but next year we're gonna make some quantum leaps. And in April, I have this thing that's gonna happen. I should have been a part of this year, but unfortunately, what happened, and it's done. So next year, I'm gonna use that as my entry point. I actually started working with a guy last night, and he's gonna prepare me for the interviews. He's gonna prepare a company under my name and so on and so forth. So when I show up in the embassy, I have the biggest chance to win. And then I told him, so I'm gonna use that as an entry point. We're gonna be on the range for a couple of days. If I understand correctly, the meetup lasts for a couple of days or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm sure after that the universe will have something juicy in store for me. And I told them I'm gonna go and I'm never gonna come back. And you can imagine the crusade that started. I mean, my friend and his lady, and then my aunt and grandma, and then my brother. I also went to see my brother. They came on with everything. I mean, machine guns, pistols, swords, tomahawks. Okay, they came on packing. Okay, and I told them, hey, listen, that this is what I want to do, and this is what I feel I should do, and this is kind of what downloads to me to be something that I need to do. That's how I feel, and that's what I want to do, and that's been my wish since forever, and that's it. And I told all of them, and this is something we spoke about on the other call the other day when you said, when we encounter people and we tell them about what we want, and if they don't see what we see, and they can see what we see, because I mean, they cannot see what we see, that we can tell them, you can go with me if you want. And I told this to all of them. I said to my brother, he's struggling with finances. I told him, hey, listen, come with me. I'm gonna do whatever. You can drive a truck, you can do whatever. There's Serbian people all across states, and most of them either have restaurants or either have truck companies. So you can work there. I mean, we can find something for you. I'm good at sales. I'm gonna, trying to find a sales job or something.
Right.
We can make it work. And the limiting beliefs of his came on, and unfortunately, I understand now. And this is something that used to trigger me, but after this session, it's no longer gonna trigger me. It's that those are his fights, man. They're not mine. I'm here if he needs something, but not my fight.
And do you
I'm
see
not gonna fight his
you want to
fight.
know what's so cool about all this? You didn't leave. You were still sitting in front of them when you told them the story. This, ladies and gentlemen, what we're hearing from AJ happens every single time we invite somebody to dream. He didn't say could you imagine if this was a joke, which it's not, but imagine if he knew, listen, I'm going to know what, I'm going to push the triggers. I'm just going to tell him I'm going to stay in the States. That's all he said. I'm then never coming back. I'm going to stay. Isn't it true that every time you have a dream, you ain't never coming back to the person that wasn't dreaming? And he saw his aunt and grandmother, and you can't do that. Oh my God, what are you going to do? They're going to arrest you. You're going to be in prison. You're going to do this, that, and the other. And they're like, I haven't left the table. What? I haven't left the dining. I'm sitting I haven't even finished my sandwich, and you guys are putting me in jail.
You can't, I mean, they came on with everything. I mean, machine guns, the works. And I told them, hey, listen, I mean, you are free to do whatever you want. I'm free to do whatever I want. And this is something that I want to do. First of all, I want to see this guy in person. I mean, this guy has directly and indirectly changed my life for the better. More times than I can count. So that's first of all. Second of all, I want to see all these people that are my internet BFFs for the past 5 years, right? And then thirdly,
bonus.
I think thank you. Oh, RC in the house. All right. And then thirdly, I told them in my mind how things are developing and my wish to come to the States, which is the cliche probably, but I don't care. I come onto the range. So this is how I visualize, this is the download I got. I come onto the range. There is a quantum times 1,000 on steroids times 10,000 leap that happens because I'm aware of the leaps that I made already, and we're talking over computer and over the phone. Again, I just can't imagine what it's going to be like when I see all of you in person, and we actually get to sit down right beside a campfire and talk about war stories probably or something, whatever. But I see all of that, and just like Diane said, I know I will never be the same. And then right after that, I'm already in there. I already experienced a live daily awakening in person. I got to see you. I got to see all of you. And then I'm gonna come back here to this. I'm not gonna cuss, but you know what I'm saying? So no, thank you, but no thank you. So that's it. I think, for me, 2025 is a quantum leap. And I literally cannot think of a better entry point and a better, what do you call those things on the pools where you jump off the thing and then you go in the
Diving
water?
board.
Yeah. I cannot think of a better entry and a better, point to start than having a live event with you, packing up all of this knowledge that I have and then kind of making it work in person and then never coming back. I mean, I may come back from vacation every once in a while, but I'm never coming back. And like I said, you cannot imagine the attacks I went through. But for the first time ever, and this is one of the awarenesses I just got from this program, and that's why I left a comment this morning when I woke up. This is the first time ever that I did not go into a fight with them. I did not fight them. I did not tell them no, you're stupid, and this is stupid, and this country is stupid, and these people are stupid, and blah, blah, blah. I told him, hey, listen, I decided, I made the decision of self to do that. I feel that's a decision I need to make, and I made it. And you are more than welcome to come if you want. And if you don't want, that's okay. I mean, we got FaceTime, we got Zoom, we got whatever. And that's it. And for the first time ever, I became aware that some fights are not mine to fight. I'm not supposed to fight their fights. And that's it. So I want to thank for that, all of you. Thank all of you for that.
You didn't even change the zip code in Serbia, and they were already telling you can't move. This is the funny thing. They were having an argument with something that wasn't in the room, but a potential that could get into the room. And it's just, when you look at it and become the reporter, you're like, what are they arguing about? Well, he's going to the States and never coming back. Has he left yet? No, he was still sitting right in front of him. I'm sorry. They were talking about him they were already predicting while he was still sitting there what went wrong. Anybody say what went right? No, not a one. Isn't that fascinating?
Yeah, my family, my brother, especially my dad, by the way, who was in the States, and he found himself a sugar mama because, well, my cousins, they have a friend that owns a factory or something, and she liked the guy, my dad, and she wanted him to stay over, and he didn't want to do that because he was full of ego or whatever. And I called him King Negative. My dad, King Negative. All right. I tell him I'm gonna go there, and he's like, "Yeah, sure," because they're stupid. And I'm like, "What? They're stupid over there." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever." And then my brother is Prince Negative. My dad is King Negative. My brother is Prince Negative. And I told him as well, and he's like, "Yeah, and they're stupid, and we're gonna go there, and you shouldn't go there, and whatever." I'm like, whatever, man. I'm gonna holler at you from JFK. So let's keep in touch, man.
I love it. And so again, these are the stories. Take that story and turn it into how people who are supposed to be supporting you, blood is thicker than water, and they're all ready to take care of you, and they got your back. When they literally said you have lost your mind, which you need to become fully aware of. They couldn't imagine you being in the States by yourself. So rather than figure out a way to support you, it was easy to jump on the bandwagon of no. Nobody said, well, let's figure out how to make that happen. And that's a clue. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love
That
it.
is a clue. There's something you spoke about the other day. It used to hurt. It doesn't hurt no more, but some people are just gonna stay on the second floor. And I'm sorry, but I gotta go up to the penthouse. I'm real sorry. You can go up with me if you want, but you don't want, the view is much better up there. That's all I'm saying. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Love it. How cool is that? Anyone else? Last thoughts, comments, questions, takeaways? Take it with you. So tomorrow is creating aligned habits. Daily actions for long-term success. That one sounds scary. Then the next one's reframing fear, momentum mastery. We got some big topics to cover. Okay. My magical misfits. Thank you for being a part of my world. Thank you for all being there Sunday for me to help me reframe the way I was sitting and looking at things. Because part of my success is knowing I get to share the moments where the stuff hits the fan and the joys show up as well. I get to share those with you, and I get to lead from a place of not pointing, going, you should. I'm going, here's what happened to me. You might not want to follow me on this one because It's a train wreck and a half, but here's how to look for it. So I love it, love it, love it. I'm your head brain training, brain scrambling. Let's get emotional resilient. Why did the song Getting Physical? I just want, right? Yes. For those of you who are a little older, you know what that song is all about. Let's get emotional resilient. I'm your head brain training, brain scrambling misfit. I'll see y'all where?
At the next
At the
event.
next event.
Excellent. Somebody give me some Costa Ricas.
Pura.
Pura vida.
Pura vida. We love you, Mark. And some Lydias.
Peace be with
Be
us.
with us.
Peace be with us. And the queen of emotional resilience, Jessie Lee Ward.
Boss Lee.
And we'll switch up the Fifi. So I'll say a little Fifi and we'll go gurgly because that was the word we used for her all the time. Somebody give me some Fifi.
Gurgly.
Oh, I love her. All right, everybody. We'll love you tons. And our friend Stacy had some puppies. They're big guard dog puppies. So we might be getting a puppy here soon. Just putting it out there in the universe. All right. I love y'all. See you soon. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.
Love you all.
Thanks,
Great
bye.
job.
You have a
Thank
great
you,
day.
Sean. Love you all. Have